Shalom, brothers and sisters. Yay. I'm about to read from the Drakes, or the Dakes scripture. Check it out. So the pre-adamite world. 18 proofs of a pre-adamite world. Number 1. Here we go. In Genesis 1:1, we have the original creation of the heavens and the earth. This is certainly pre-adamite, for Adam was created much later, as is clear. Regarding the original creation, the following fact made it clear that the term "in the beginning," used in Genesis 1:1-2, does not refer to the time of work of the 6 days of Genesis 1:3-2:25. The word "and" is used 153 times in Genesis 1-2 to separate the 102 different acts of Elohim. See use of "and" in Genesis 1-2. This is on page 76. But I'm just going to keep reading here, right? Alright. These acts are all independent and important. And the end of Genesis 1:2 proves that the work of verse 2 is entirely independent of the work of verse 1. While verse 1 records the original creation of the heavens and the earth, verse 2 records the original dry land or earth made chaos and flooded through a great catastrophe which destroyed all life on a pre-adamite earth. Number 2. The word "was" in verse 2 is from the verb "to become," not the verb "to be," which proves that the earth became waste and empty since its original creation and inhabitation in the beginning. See note, Genesis 1:2, verse 2. The phrase "without form" in verse 2 is from the Hebrew tohu, meaning waste, desolation. It is translated waste. Deuteronomy 32:10, without form. Genesis 1, verse 2. Jeremiah 4, verse 23. 34:11. 41:29. Empty. Job 6:7. Vanity. Isaiah 40:17. 23, 44:9, 59:4. Nothing. Job 6:18. Isaiah 40:17, and wilderness. Job 12:24. Psalms 107:40.
So what's going on here?
All these translations for the word tohu.
That's where they're found?
Yeah, and one of them, it means, in different scriptures, they mean different things. That's what I'm getting out of this. So, it means waste, desolation, without form, vain, confusion, empty, vanity, nothing, and wilderness. It can, and I put where it's found, I read it off just now, and the places that is found into those things. So, it can, and wilderness. Job 12:24, Psalms 107:40. All right. It can be seen from these passages that the condition of the earth was in Genesis 1:2. Elohim did not originally create the earth in such a waste and ruined condition. It is stated in Isaiah 45:18. This is what we were talking about the other day. Yeah. It's called that he did not create the earth a tohu, vain, waste, desolate. Yet in verse 2, it is this way. Therefore, we conclude that the earth was originally made perfect, dry land, beautiful and inhabited originally, and that later it became empty, waste, and a ruin because of sin. Deuteronomy 32:4, Ecclesiastes 3:11. Number 4. The Hebrew for void is bahu. Empty, ruin, void. It is translated void. Verse 2, Jeremiah 4:23. And emptiness, Isaiah 34:11. The Hebrew phrase tohu bahu, wasted and empty, describes the chaotic condition of the earth at the time it was cursed and flooded because of the sins of Lucifer and the pre-adamites. It could not refer to the earth as originally created, beautiful, perfect, dry land. Number 2. The earth was created to be inhabited, Isaiah 45:18, and was inhabited before the flood of Genesis 1, verse 2. And the work of the 6 days of Adam's time, Genesis 1, verse 3 to 2, verse 25, Isaiah 14:12-14, Jeremiah 4:23 to 26, Ezekiel 28:11-17, 2 Peter 3:5-7. See PT 3 above. Okay, the earth is called dry land, Genesis 1:10, verse 10, which means Genesis 1:1 could read, in the beginning, Elohim created the heaven and dry land. Since it was created dry, not wet and flooded as in Genesis 1 verse 2. Then it was immediately inhabited, and the flood of Genesis 1:2 verse 2 1 hold on, chapter 1 verse 2 was a curse, not a creative act, according to Psalms 136 verse 6. The earth was originally created dry and stretched above the waters, not the waters stretched upon the earth. Note. Alright, Psalms 136:6, verse 6. This requires a pre-adamite race whose sin brought such a curse. Number 4. In Genesis 1:2, Genesis 1 verse 2, the earth is not only flooded with water, but covered with total darkness. The sun, moon, and stars having withdrawn their light, causing all life on earth to be totally destroyed. This requires a pre-adamite world with vegetation, birds, animals, and men, as proved in Jeremiah 4:23-26. Note, we have the fact recorded in Genesis 1 verse 2 that the earth, the waters, and the darkness was already in existence before the work of the 6 days, which began in Genesis 1 verse 3 and continues until the earth was restored to a second inhabitable state in Genesis 2 verse 25. Thus, it is clear from Genesis 1 verse 1 to 2, the related scripture, that in the beginning, the dateless past, and not in 6 days, about 6,000 years ago, Elohim created the heavens, including the sun, moon, and stars, all the heavenly bodies in space. Note Psalms 136 verse 7. In the beginning, or the dateless past, is in point above. Elohim created the earth, or dry land. The heavens and the earth were created by Elohim, a personal and an eternal being. They were not the product of molecules deciding to produce innumerable offspring of heavenly and earthly things. The heavens were created before the earth was. Job 38, 4-7. Both the heavens and the earth were created before the earth was flooded. The earth was created dry land, not wet and flooded. Verse 1, 10, Isaiah 45, 18.
So what you're reading right now is pretty much everything I've ever up to this point. So you're caught up with me.
I'm caught up.
That's fine.
But
He's going over every point that he made before.
oh, okay. Sweet. Dead job. Alright.
I mean, the other one's probably a little more in depth, but...
Right. Did you go to all these scriptures to check them out?
I went to a few, not all of them.
I mean, we did it. Yeah, so call it.
And we do it.
Yeah, so we did some. Alright. Let me just moving right along, huh? So the waters, number 7. The waters that flooded the dry land were created in the beginning, along with the earth, to cause the dry land to become productive. Job 80 or 38, 4-30. And not to curse the earth, as in Genesis 1-2. That's what he was saying, Little John, about the seed being in the earth, right? In the waters.
Exactly.
In the waters. That's what he said.
Yeah.
All right.
In the waters.
Right.
And so out of the waters comes the dry land. The seed.
All right. Let me just.
And out of the waters, I was thinking, when he said that, I was thinking, like, where did Israel come out of? Mitzrayim.
Because I heard John say something about the dry land being Israel.
Of course.
So they could get the seed from above here on the earth.
Yeah, exactly. Coming out of the waters, coming out of the Gentiles, coming out of
Right.
the Mitzrayim has the mem and the mem, remember?
Mitzrayim what?
The two mems in Mitzrayim.
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking out loud when you said that.
You know? Well, I'm almost done with this part. Let me just read number 8.
Oh, let's talk about it.
Alright. We got it. I need more light. Oh!
Those letters aren't big enough.
Oh, no, because this way I got light. The other way I got darkness. Let there be light!
You just look to the Zadik side.
That's right.
That's what you did, right?
The light just...
The right side.
You know? Alright. The darkness was also, number 8, the darkness was also created in the beginning with day or light to help sustain life on the earth. Job 38, 4-41. Only the earth was cursed, flooded, and filled with darkness, not the heavens. Verse 2. When therefore conclude the Genesis 1:1-2, chapter 1, verse 1 and 2, proves a pre-adamic world that was destroyed in a flood, which necessitated the making of the present adamite world, so that the original purpose of Elohim concerning the earth could be realized. Isaiah 45:18. It is further revealed in Genesis 1, verse 2, that the Spirit of Elohim began to move upon the flooded earth and in the darkness to restore the dry land as before it was flooded. This also confirms the fact of a pre-adamite world which was destroyed, making it necessary to restore the earth to a second inhabitable state, as in the 6 days of Genesis 1, verse 3 to chapter 2, verse 25. In Scripture, all instances of obscuring the sun and bringing consequent darkness, and the 2 past cases of universal floods are revealed to be the result of judgment, not creation. Genesis 6, verse 8 to chapter 8, verse 22. Exodus 10:21 to verse 23. Isaiah 5:30. Jeremiah 4:23-26. All predictions of such future darkness depict judgment. Matthew 8:12, 24:29-31. Revelations 6:12-17, 8:12 and 9:2, 16:10, Isaiah 13:10, Joel 2:30 to chapter 3:16, Amos 5:18-20. Could we say that Genesis 1 verse 2 is an exception and the only place in Scripture where darkness and universal flood on the earth are not an act of judgment? Bernie, could we say that?
What exactly?
All right. Could we say, I lost my place. In Scripture, all right. Could we say that Genesis 1, chapter 1, verse 2 is an exception and not the place in Scripture where darkness and universal flood on the earth are not an act of judgment? If then,
I think so, but I really understand.
so we can't say that because they are an act of judgment.
Okay. Yes.
Because remember, that's why the rainbow came, saying that he's not going to destroy.
Right.
And it makes no sense. I mean, it made sense. Because there was one flood, but there's more, brothers and sisters.
That's right.
That's right. That's right. All right. Thank you. Okay, Genesis 1, verse 2 definitely proves there was a pre-Adamic world which was destroyed by darkness and flood. No one questioned the flood of Noah's time being an act of judgment passed upon free mortal agents because of sin. No one doubts the existence of the free moral agents before the flood actually came. Why then doubt the existence of a pre-adamite world which was destroyed by the darkness and flood of Genesis 1 verse 2? That this was even a worse flood than the one of Noah's time, and an act of great judgment in punishment of more horrible sins, is clear from the outline of contrast below. We find proof of two universal floods on earth, one of Lucifer in Lucifer's day, Genesis 1 verse 2, Isaiah 14:12 to 14, Jeremiah 4:23 to 26, 2 Peter 3:5 to 7, and another in Noah's Genesis 6:11 to Genesis 8:14. So look at, there's 20 contrasts between the floods. And we got a little chart right here that says Lucifer's. Number 1, earth made waste. 1-2, Jeremiah 4:23. Earth made empty. 1-2. Alright, well, I mean, you know. So you. Alright, well, I'm over here just learning how to read parentheses. So, okay, I'll just read the other thing then. Yeah. Earth made waste, earth made empty, earth made totally, no light.
Totally dark.
Oh, totally dark. I was going to say. It's like, dude, that's crazy. No light from heaven, no days, all vegetation destroyed, no continual habitating of waters of earth, waters taken off in one day, supernatural work of taking waters off. God or Elohim rebukes waters. Now here's the Noah's flood. Not made waste, not made empty, not made totally dark. Light from heaven, days, vegetation left not destroyed, continual abating of waters of earth, waters taken off in months, natural work of taking waters off, the earth, no rebuke of waters.
There it is.
All right. Oh, look at this side. There's still a whole bunch more. So Lucifer's flood has this as well. Check it out. Waters hastened away. Elohim set boundaries from waters. All fish destroyed because sun withheld from earth. No fowls left. No animals left. No man left. No social system left. No ark made to save lives. Cause fall of Satan. Result became necessary to make new fish, fowl, land, animals, vegetation, and man. Okay, and here's Noah. Waters receded gradually. Bounds already set. No fish destroyed. Only land animals. Sun not withheld. Fowls saved. Animals saved. 4 men, 4 women saved. A social system left. An ark made to save lives. Cause of man's wickedness and sin of fallen angels. Result, no new creation made for all things were saved. No new creation was made, for all things were saved. Here you go, brother. Oh, that was very interesting. And I hope you understood a little bit. Because Yah is amazing, and he is coming down with fire next time. So, Father, let us be found worthy to escape the troubles that are coming upon earth. Yah Baruch. Bernie, you want to say a few words?
Shalom, everybody.
That's right.